I'm doing my extra credit video on Shirley Chisholm. Shirley Chisholm, she was born in Brooklyn, New York in 1924, and she's most famous for she's best known for becoming the first black congressman in 1968. In 1968, Shirley Chisholm, she made history by becoming the United States' first African American congresswoman, and that was beginning the first of her 7 terms in the House of Representatives. Um, she was first assigned to the House Forestry Committee, and she shocked a lot of people because she demanded a reassignment. And after her reassignment, she was placed on the Veteran Affairs Committee, and then she eventually graduated and she became the Education and Labor Committee. Shirley Chisholm, she was one of the founding members of the CBC, the Congressional Black Caucus, and like during her tenure there, she religiously spoke on minority education, and she tried to speak a lot on employment opportunities for African Americans and those of less fortunate throughout her tenure in Congress. After making history for the first time by becoming the first African American woman to be elected in Congress in 1968, 4 years later, in 1972, she became the first African American woman to make a bid for the U.S. presidency, and she was with the Democratic Party. And one of her famous speeches that she said was she began to say, "I am not the candidate of Black America, although I am black and proud. I am not the candidate of women's movement of this country, although I am a woman and I'm equally proud of that. I am the candidate of the people, and my presence before you know symbolizes a new era in American political history." And this is like a famous speech she said, and that's when she announced that she was going to be running for presidency in America. Even though Shirley Chisholm ran a very good campaign, she still didn't win the Democratic nomination, and she lost to Senator John McGovern from South Dakota. She was unable to get a lot of support from lots of people, because many people felt like they were not really ready for a woman to lead. Neither less that she was African American, so that really didn't make anything better. And she really didn't get the support from influential black leaders either. So she lost her campaign. Some early life from Shirley Chisholm. Even though she was born in Brooklyn, New York, she spent some of her early life living with her grandmother in Barbados. So she spent some time in Barbados and Brooklyn, New York. And when she came back to Brooklyn, New York, she began to take classes at Brooklyn College, and she graduated from there in 1946. And after she graduated, she began her career as a teacher, and then she went on to earn her master's degree in elementary education from the University of Columbia. Besides being the first African American congresswoman, she was also a very good author. She wrote 2 books. One was in 1970, and it was called Unbrought and Unbossed. And then she had another book called The Good Fight, and that was published in 1973. And the name of that book, it was actually her campaign slogan. Shirley Chisholm, she died January 1st in 2005 when she was 80 years old. And 11 years later, on November in 2015, she was awarded the Distinguished Presidential Medal of Freedom.